Welcome to Underdark Cellars. Today we're flying to Basgiath for our Fourth Wing book fans, myself included, and making some Jack's Demise Cinnamon Rolls. If you haven't read the book, spoilers, but Jack is allergic to oranges, so we're going to take full advantage of that before we take him to the mat. We're going to start by blooming our yeast, our active dry yeast. I used 2 1/4 teaspoons, that's the equivalent of 1 packet of active dry yeast, and 1 1/2 teaspoons of sugar, as well as 1/3 cup of water heated to 114 degrees. You want to keep your water between 110 and 117 degrees. Any cooler and your yeast won't bloom, and any hotter and you'll kill your yeast. While that is proofing, you'll see it's risen quite a lot. We're going to melt our butter and warm up our milk. We just want to make sure our butter is melted all the way and the milk is warm. Do not scald your milk. While that's cooling, we're going to zest 3 oranges and set those aside completely. We're actually going to use those later. And then to our melted butter and milk mixture, we're going to add the zest of those oranges. This is going to infuse our dough with a lot of flavor, but we're also going to add some orange extract just to further that. In a stand mixer with a paddle attachment, we're going to combine our wet ingredients. So that's the milk, butter, extract, and orange zest mixture, our yeast that has proofed completely, as well as 2 eggs, 2 medium eggs. I recommend cracking them in another bowl so you don't get any shell in, but that's just me. Now we're going to add our dry ingredients. I used 1/3 cup of granulated sugar, 1 tablespoon of salt, and 3 1/2 to 4 1/2 cups of flour. I added half at first and just made sure that was incorporated into the wet mixture just to prevent flour from flying everywhere. You also don't want to add too much flour, otherwise your cinnamon rolls will get really dry. So swapped out the paddle attachment for my dough hook attachment and started adding in the flour one little bit at a time, checking on the dough. It is an enriched dough, so it's going to be somewhat tacky, but you don't want it to be sticky and falling apart. So that's just the way the cookie crumbles when it comes to enriched doughs. So you'll see I added all of the flour. I found 4 1/2 cups worked the best for me. So right there is still a little sticky. So I just added a little bit more flour, which was the remainder of my flour, and then I found the dough was ready to go. Once the dough was fully incorporated, I kneaded it in my stand mixer for about 5 minutes. Once that's done, we're going to put our dough in a greased bowl. I used some avocado oil in my bowl, and we're gonna let it rest covered with some plastic wrap until it's doubled in size. Alright, so while that is rising, we are going to start prepping the filling for the cinnamon rolls. Now, Jack Barlowe is allergic to oranges, so you bet your ass that we're going to put that in everything. So we're going to start by making the caramel for the filling. We're going to take 3 oranges and quarter them. I had to quarter them because they were too big for my little citrus squeezer. We're going to quarter those and put them in our little citrus juicer and transfer that to a pot. It comes out to, I think, about a cup of orange juice. Also, big fan of Violet and her using this against Jack. Jack is huge and he's very, very tall, very, very broad. He's very, very scary and he hates her, right? So he's going to use anything he can do any chance he can get to just wipe the floor with her completely. And Violet is small. She's what, 5'2". She has a connective tissue disorder. Pretty sure Ehlers-Danlos. And so she needs to find a way to be able to survive, right? And so she overhears that Jack is allergic to oranges, and so she uses that allergy against him to level the playing field. There's no rules against it, but I think it was brilliant, honestly. Also, if you are here to defend Jack Barlowe, fuck Jack Barlowe. He is the worst, and I feel bad for you. But you know what? You're entitled to your wrong opinion. So if you want to like Jack Barlowe, fine. But in this house, we do not like Jack Barlowe. Did I say fuck Jack Barlowe? Because I mean it. Anyway, so once our juice is fully squeezed, we're going to pop a cinnamon stick in there for some flavor, as well as a teaspoon of cardamom, but careful, it will boil over, so be quick about that. We're just going to let those flavors infuse. Take the cinnamon stick out. And then we're going to add in the remainder of our cardamom. So in total, I use 2 teaspoons of cardamom, but I had to add about 1 teaspoon at a time to prevent, interruption in my kitchen. And what we're wanting is the orange juice to condense for most of the water to boil out. So we're left with super concentrated orange, cinnamon, and cardamom flavor that we're going to use for the base of our filling. The idea behind this is that if the cinnamon roll dough won't take Jack out, the filling will send him into a coma. So there's that. To our concentrate, we're going to add vanilla paste, about 1/4 of a teaspoon. To that, we're going to add 1 stick of softened butter. Now, my butter didn't soften all the way, so I had to soften it a little bit in the microwave. That's why it was a little melty. But we're going to mix that together until it's completely combined. We don't want any just raw butter, in our cinnamon rolls. And then to that mixture, we're going to add 1 1/4 cups of light brown sugar. I didn't pack my brown sugar, so it looks like there's more, but it's 1 1/4 cups. And to that, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of cinnamon. And then we're just going to make sure that's really well incorporated, scraping down the sides of the bowl as you go, so that this is nice and fluffy and easy to spread. Now, we're going to roll out our cinnamon roll dough. And look at how soft this dough turned out, and you can see the orange zest in there. Love it so much. Jack would hate this, so doubly satisfying. And you know what? It's really satisfying to know that even if Jack did like oranges, he can't have them. So he would just feel sad and left out this whole time. And I'm okay with that because fuck Jack Barlowe. So we're going to roll our cinnamon roll dough out into a 12 by 18 inch sheet and spread our filling out. Once the filling is all the way to the edges, we're going to start rolling our cinnamon rolls. That's where they get their name. going to give this a little stretch, and we're going to spray our pan we're going to bake in. And we're going to cut this into 12, so we're going to have 4 rows of 3 cinnamon rolls each. So we're just going to cut these up and place them in the pan. And then we're going to actually cover these for one more rise. And while that's happening, we're going to preheat our oven to 375. Once our rolls have risen, we are going to drizzle about 3/4 of a cup of heavy cream over the cinnamon rolls. This will create a caramel that forms at the bottom of the cinnamon rolls, and it helps them to retain moisture. They're delicious this way. And then I actually covered with foil. They were browning a little faster than I had anticipated. I only make these about once a year, and we have a new oven. So now we're gonna make the frosting while those finish cooking. So we're gonna start with a 1/2 cup of butter and the zest from 1 orange, along with 2 sticks of cream cheese. You might think, that's a lot of cream cheese. Yes, it is a lot of cream cheese. I never said these were good for you. These are Jack's Demise. So we're gonna add a little vanilla paste and orange extract, and then some powdered sugar. A little bit at a time though, because you see that it'll go everywhere. If it starts getting hard to mix, add in a little heavy cream or a little milk, and it'll get easier. In total, I used 4 cups of powdered sugar. So once the cinnamon rolls come out of the oven, we're gonna actually brush them with a little bit of butter to help them retain moisture while they cool so they don't dry out. And then once they've cooled, we're going to top them with our cream cheese frosting. So I'm going to cut one of these open for you, much like I would like to cut open Jack Barlowe, and we're going to take a look at the inside and see what the texture looks like. And look at that. Oh my goodness, she is gorgeous. The caramel on the bottom, the texture of the dough, the frosting is so light and fluffy. It's sweet, but it's not overpoweringly sweet. The citrus and the zest really brightens everything up with the spices. Those are very warm. The vanilla, everything is so nice. I take immense satisfaction in knowing that Jack Barlowe cannot eat these, and even if he wanted to, he couldn't, so he would feel left out. But these are definitely a once a year kind of treat. It's a great seasonal recipe. It's great for the holidays, for entertaining with your family. Navel oranges are in season. You can often find them in bulk. But it's so good. So the recipe is down below. If you like that, let me know. Please like, follow, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, all that jazz, and look forward to more recipes coming for you. Thank you so much, and you have a nice day, writers. Bye.